Sophie Bennett texted her father. Just landed. Getting a ride. Love you, Dad. She was dead within 2 hours. The man who killed her wasn't a stranger. He was someone she had been tutoring. Someone she'd met for coffee. Someone she trusted. 5 days later, when her father called 911, police would discover Sophie wasn't his first victim. She was his fifth. This is how a 24-year-old neuroscience student walked into a trap. And how one phone call exposed a killer who'd been hiding in plain sight. November 3, 2022. Minneapolis, Minnesota. 2 states away, in Milwaukee. A father sits alone in his home office, lit only by his phone. Tyler Bennett is staring at his daughter's last message. Just landed. Getting a ride. Love you, Dad. 5 days after that last text, he still hasn't heard from her. Since then, nothing. He's called her 47 times. Every call goes to voicemail. Every text sits unread. His hands shake as he dials 911. My daughter is missing, he says. Something is very wrong. What Tyler doesn't know is that police are about to uncover signs of a hidden digital life. And the man who had been preparing for his next prey for weeks. A tutoring app message would turn out to be the doorway to everything. To understand how this happened, we need to go back. Back to October 27th. Back to the message that first appeared in Sophie's inbox. Who was Sophie? Sophie Bennett. 24 years old. Graduate student at the University of Minnesota, studying neuroscience. Published researcher. The kind of daughter who called her dad every Sunday without fail. And now. Gone. What started as a wellness check would become a race against time. What looked like a missing person case would expose a predator who'd been hunting for years. Police would discover that Sophie Bennett, brilliant, careful, cautious Sophie, had walked straight into his trap. This is Sophie's story. But before we meet the monster who killed her, let's meet the woman he destroyed. Because Sophie Bennett was more than a victim. She was a daughter. A friend. A scientist who wanted to understand how the brain heals from trauma. And she deserves to be remembered as the brilliant light she was. Not just the darkness that took her. 1 week before. October 27, 2022. University of Minnesota campus. Evening. Sophie Bennett sits in the neuroscience lab, staring at brain scans on her computer. It's 9 p.m. She's been here since 6 a.m. This is normal for her. Driven doesn't even begin to cover it. Her phone buzzes. A text from her roommate, Jenna. You coming home tonight or sleeping in the lab again? Sophie smiles, types back, home by 11. Promise. Need real food. But there's another notification. An email. From a tutoring platform she signed up for 3 weeks ago, GradConnect. A site that matches grad students with undergrads who need help in specific subjects. Sophie had signed up to make extra money. Grad school stipends don't cover much in Minneapolis. $1,800 a month sounds decent until you realize rent is $1,200 and you still need to eat. She'd gotten a few requests. Mostly freshman biology students struggling with chemistry. She'd made maybe $400 in 3 weeks. Not life-changing, but it helped. This email was different. Subject, tutoring request, advanced neuroscience. Hi Sophie, I'm a junior pre-med student struggling with neuroanatomy. I saw your profile and your research background is exactly what I need. Would you be available for in-person tutoring? I'm willing to pay $100 per hour. Let me know. Marcus. Sophie reads it twice. $100 an hour. That's really high. Most tutoring requests are $25 to $30 an hour. But neuroscience tutoring is specialized. And she's published. Maybe this Marcus kid just has money and is desperate. She responds, Hi Marcus, $100 per hour works. I'm usually available evenings after 7 p.m. Where were you thinking? His response comes within minutes. Perfect. I'm off campus in Edina. I can meet you somewhere public first if that's more comfortable, coffee shop, library, etc. Then if you're comfortable we can work at my place. I have all my textbooks and notes there. Let me know what works. Edina. Wealthy suburb. 20 minutes south of campus. That explains the $100 per hour rate. Sophie types back, let's start with coffee. There's a Caribou on France Avenue. Does Tuesday, November 1st at 7 p.m. work? Perfect. See you then. The coffee meeting. November 1st, 2022. Caribou Coffee, Edina. 7:03 p.m. Sophie arrives 3 minutes late, had to stay late at the lab to finish a data analysis. She scans the coffee shop. A man waves at her from a corner table. He's black, well-dressed, late 20s maybe. Clean cut. Expensive-looking jacket. He's sitting with a laptop open and a stack of what look like medical textbooks. Sophie walks over. Marcus? He stands, extends his hand. Firm handshake. Warm smile. Sophie. Thanks for meeting me. Can I get you a coffee? I'm good, thanks. I just have like 3 cups at the lab. They sit. Marcus slides one of the textbooks toward her. Principles of Neuroscience. Standard neuroscience text. So I'm taking neuroanatomy 4201 and it's kicking my ass, he says. I'm pre-med, need an A, and I'm barely pulling a B-. Professor's lectures are impossible to follow. Sophie nods. She's heard this before. Neuroanatomy is brutal. They spend 45 minutes going through his questions. Sophie explains neural pathways, draws diagrams on napkins, breaks down complex concepts into digestible pieces. Marcus is engaged. Asks good questions. Takes notes. Seems genuinely grateful. At 7:50, he checks his watch. This has been incredibly helpful. Seriously. Would you be willing to do this regularly? Like twice a week? Sure, Sophie says. Here or somewhere else? My place is probably better, honestly. I have a home office with a whiteboard, all my notes organized. It's quieter than coffee shops. But totally understand if you're more comfortable meeting in public. Sophie considers. She's met him. He seems normal. Safe. It's a wealthy suburb. And honestly, $100 per hour twice a week would really help. Your place works. Just send me the address. Marcus smiles. Perfect. How about Thursday? Same time. Thursday works. They exchange phone numbers. Marcus insists on Venmo her $100 for tonight's session even though she told him the first meeting was free to see if they were a good fit. You earned it, he says. See you Thursday. Sophie walks to her car feeling good. $100 for 45 minutes of work. And he seems like a serious student who actually wants to learn. She texts Jenna, just made $100 in under an hour. This tutoring thing might actually be worth it. Jenna responds, get it girl. Drinks this weekend. The Trap. November 3rd, 2022. 6:47 p.m. Sophie parks outside the address Marcus sent her. It's a nice house. 2-story. Well-maintained. Quiet residential street. She texts Marcus, here. He responds immediately, come in. Front doors open. I'm in the office upstairs. Sophie hesitates for just a second. Front doors open feels casual. But this is a nice neighborhood. And she's met him. He's fine. She gets out of her car, walks up the driveway, pushes open the front door. Marcus? Upstairs. Second door on the right. Sophie climbs the stairs. The house is clean. Modern furniture. Framed art on the walls. Everything looks normal. She reaches the second floor. Second door on the right is ajar. She pushes it open. Marcus is sitting at a desk with a large monitor, textbook spread out. He turns, smiles. Hey. Come in. Sorry about the mess. It's not messy. It's immaculate. Sophie sits in the chair across from him. They dive into the session. More neuroanatomy. Sophie explains the limbic system, the role of the amygdala in fear processing, the connection between the hippocampus and memory formation. 30 minutes in, Marcus gets up. Want some water? I'm grabbing some. Sure, thanks. He leaves the room. Sophie looks around. The office is nice. Professional. There's a bookshelf full of medical texts, a framed degree on the wall. She can't read it from here, but it looks legitimate. Marcus returns with 2 bottles of water. Hands her one. She drinks. They continue the session. Another 20 minutes. And then Sophie starts to feel strange. Dizzy. Her vision blurs slightly. She blinks hard. You okay? Marcus asks. Yeah, just tired I guess. Long day at the lab. We can cut it short if you need to. No, I'm good. Just need a second. But she's not good. The room is spinning. Her limbs feel heavy. Sophie. Marcus's voice sounds far away. She tries to stand. Her legs don't work. She falls back into the chair. Something's wrong. The last thing she sees is Marcus standing over her. Not concerned. Calm. Almost curious. And then everything goes black. The search begins. November 8, 2022. 10:22 a.m. Minneapolis Police Department. Tyler Bennett sits across from Detective Sarah Kowalski. He's brought everything. Sophie's bank statements, her phone records, he had access to the family plan, printouts of her class schedule, photos, her social media accounts. She landed in Minneapolis on November 3 at 6:15 p.m., Tyler says. He said this 3 times already. She texted me at 6:47 to say she was getting a ride. That's the last I heard from her. Detective Kowalski reviews the file. Her phone. Off. Or dead. It goes straight to voicemail. Bank activity. Nothing since November 3. She bought gas that afternoon. $38.50. Nothing after that. Credit cards. Nothing. Has she done this before? Taken off without telling you? Tyler looks at her like she's insane. No. Never. Sophie calls me every Sunday. We've talked every week since she moved here for grad school. She doesn't just disappear. Boyfriend? Anyone she might be staying with? Her roommate says no boyfriend. No one she was seeing. Sophie's focused on school. That's it. Detective Kowalski makes notes. We'll do a wellness check at her apartment. Talk to her roommate, her professors, her lab supervisor. See if anyone's heard from her. And if they haven't, then we open a formal investigation. The apartment. November 8, 2022. 2:15 p.m. Sophie's apartment. Jenna Chen, Sophie's roommate, lets the police into the apartment. She's been crying. You can tell. She never came home, Jenna says. Thursday night, November 3. She texted me around 6:30 saying she had a tutoring session and would be home by 9. She never came back. Why didn't you report her missing sooner? I figured she stayed at the lab. She does that sometimes. But then Friday came and she didn't answer my texts. So I went to the lab. Her supervisor said she wasn't there. Saturday I started calling. Sunday I called her dad. Monday he called you guys. The police searched Sophie's room. Her laptop is there. Her wallet, well, a backup wallet with expired credit cards. Her main wallet is gone. Her phone is gone. Her keys are gone. Her car is not in the parking lot. Where does she park? Detective Kowalski asks. Her assigned spot. Number 14. But her car's not there. They check building security footage. On November 3 at 6:35 p.m., Sophie is seen leaving the building, getting into her car, a silver Honda Civic, and driving away. She never comes back. November 9, 2022. Tyler Bennett is going through Sophie's laptop. Her roommate gave him access. The police are moving too slowly. He needs answers. He finds her email. Scrolls through recent messages. And there it is. Grad Connect. The tutoring platform. Multiple messages from someone named Marcus Henderson. Arranging sessions. Confirming times. Sending his address. 1847, Countryside Drive, Edina, Minnesota, 55436. Tyler's hands shake as he writes down the address. He calls Detective Kowalski immediately. I found something. The house. November 10, 2022. 8 a.m. Police arrive at 1847, Countryside Drive with a search warrant. The house is beautiful. Well maintained. A silver Honda Civic is parked in the garage. License plate matches Sophie Bennett's car. They knock. No answer. They breach the door. The house is empty. Clean. Almost too clean. Like someone scrubbed it recently. But in the garage, they find bleach. Industrial cleaner. Rubber gloves. And Sophie's car with her keys still in the ignition. In the basement, they find something that makes everyone stop breathing. A soundproof room. Unfinished. Half-built. Acoustic foam on the walls. Hooks drilled into the concrete. A heavy steel door with a deadbolt that locks from the outside. And in the corner, a camera on a tripod. Detective Kowalski calls for the forensics team immediately. The digital trail. November 10 to 12, 2022. Forensics tears the house apart. They find traces of blood. In the upstairs office. In the bathroom. Small amounts, but it's there. DNA testing will take weeks. But they can't wait weeks. They pull the homeowner records. The house is owned by Marcus Henderson, 34 years old. Tech consultant. No criminal record. But when they pull his phone records, things get interesting. Marcus Henderson has two phones. His regular phone and a burner phone purchased with cash on October 15, 2022. The burner phone's location data places it at the University of Minnesota campus multiple times in October. At coffee shops near campus. At the Caribou in Edina on November 1st. And on November 3rd, the burner phone's location data shows it moving from Edina to a rural area north of the Twin Cities. Near Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. 4 hours north. Massive wilderness area. Millions of acres. Marcus's regular phone stayed in Edina the entire time. Creating an alibi. But the burner phone tells the real story. The encrypted messages. The carefully constructed digital life. The evidence of a predator who'd been planning this for months. The manhunt. November 13, 2022. Police put out a bolo for Marcus Henderson. Be on the lookout. Possible homicide suspect. His photo is released to the media. Local news picks it up immediately. And that's when the calls start coming in. 3 women contact police. 3 women who'd all tutored for Grad Connect. Who'd all been contacted by Marcus Henderson requesting tutoring. Who'd all met him at coffee shops. 2 of them had gone to his house once. Both said they felt uncomfortable and never went back. He kept offering me wine, one woman says. I said no and he kept pushing. I left after 30 minutes and blocked his number. The third woman says she went to his house twice. The second time, she felt dizzy and nauseous and left immediately. I thought I was just dehydrated. But looking back, I think he put something in my water. She's 22 years old. She starts crying during the interview. He was going to kill me too, wasn't he? Detective Kowalski doesn't answer. But they both know the truth. The arrest. November 15, 2022. Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. Canadian Border Services detains a man trying to cross into Canada at the Thunder Bay checkpoint. He's driving a rental car. He has a fake ID. And he matches the description of Marcus Henderson. They search the car. They find 2 phones, 1 burner. $47,000 in cash. 3 fake IDs. A laptop. And a handwritten list of names. 23 names. All women. Ages 19 to 26. All from Minneapolis and St. Paul. Sophie Bennett's name is on the list, with a checkmark next to it. 4 other names also have checkmarks. Marcus Henderson is extradited to Minnesota. He's charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and attempted kidnapping, for the other women who'd gone to his house. He refuses to speak without a lawyer. And he refuses to tell police where Sophie's body is. The search. November 16 to December 2, 2022. Search teams deploy to Boundary Waters Canoe area. Following the burner phone's GPS data from November 3. It's massive. Remote. Freezing. Early winter in northern Minnesota is brutal. They search for 17 days. On December 2, a cadaver dog alerts near a hiking trail about 6 miles from the nearest road. They dig. And they find her. Sophie Bennett. 24 years old. Buried in a shallow grave. Her hands zip-tied behind her back. Partially decomposed. Cause of death, asphyxiation. She'd been strangled. There's also evidence of blunt force trauma and signs that she'd been drugged. Sophie had been dead since November 3. Since the night she went to Marcus Henderson's house for a tutoring session. The monster revealed. December 2022 to March 2023. As investigators dig deeper into Marcus Henderson's life, a horrifying pattern emerges. The 4 other women on his list with checkmarks. All missing. All from the past 3 years. All graduate students. All had signed up for GradConnect. None of their bodies have been found yet. But search teams are working on it, using the burner phone data to identify other locations he traveled to. Marcus's laptop contains thousands of files. Photos. Videos. Documents. All of young women. Many of them unconscious. Many of them in that unfinished soundproof room in his basement. And journals. Detailed journals. He'd been documenting everything. His methods. His experiments, his word. How different drugs affected different women. How long it took them to lose consciousness. How long they survived. He called it research. The prosecution calls it what it is, premeditated serial murder. Marcus Henderson wasn't just a killer. He was a predator who'd spent years perfecting his technique. Who'd used tutoring platforms and dating apps to find victims. Who'd drugged them, documented their deaths, and buried them in remote wilderness areas where they'd never be found. The same truth police would uncover days later. Sophie was his 5th. Sophie Bennett was his 5th confirmed victim. But investigators believe there may be more. The trial. September 2023. Marcus Henderson pleads not guilty to all charges. His defense argues that the evidence is circumstantial. That Sophie's death could have been an accident. That the journals are fiction, creative writing exercises. The jury doesn't buy it. The GPS data. The burner phone. Sophie's car in his garage. Her blood in his house. The testimony from the 3 women who escaped. The list of names. The videos on his laptop. It takes the jury 4 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder. For counts of kidnapping and murder for the other women whose bodies they found 3 more bodies following his burner phone data. Marcus Henderson is sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. At sentencing, Tyler Bennett speaks. My daughter was brilliant. She wanted to be a neuroscientist, to understand how the brain recovers from trauma, so she could help others heal. Instead, she became the victim of a monster who saw women as experiments. As objects. As things to study and destroy. You took my daughter's future. You took her voice. You took everything. But you didn't take her memory. Sophie will be remembered for her brilliance, her kindness, her ambition. You'll be remembered as the pathetic coward who murdered innocent women because you're too weak and broken to be a real human being. Rot in prison. Sophie will live on. 2024. The 4 other women whose bodies were found are identified. Jessica Martinez, 22, University of St. Thomas student. Missing since 2020. Amanda Liu, 24, Hamline University grad student. Missing since 2021. Christina Rodriguez, 23, University of Minnesota student. Missing since 2022. Emily Johnson, 25, Macalester College grad student. Missing since 2022. All had been contacted through GradConnect or similar tutoring platforms. GradConnect shuts down permanently after multiple lawsuits from the victims' families. The company settles for undisclosed amounts. Tyler Bennett starts the Sophie Bennett Foundation for Student Safety. It provides free background check services for students doing gig work, safety training for meeting clients, a 24/7 safety hotline, funding for campus safety initiatives. Sophie's roommate, Jenna, graduates in 2023 and becomes an advocate for online platform safety regulations. The three women who survived encounters with Marcus Henderson all testify before the Minnesota State Legislature, leading to new laws requiring background checks for users of tutoring and gig economy platforms. Tyler Bennett still has Sophie's last message saved. The same words you heard at the beginning, the last thing Sophie ever said. Just landed. Getting a ride. Love you, Dad. He reads it sometimes. Usually at night when the house is quiet and the grief feels unbearable. Sophie was going to defend her thesis in May 2023. She was going to graduate. She was going to become a professor. She was going to change the field of neuroscience. Instead, she's buried in a cemetery in Milwaukee. Her headstone reads, Sophie Marie Bennett. 1998 to 2022. She wanted to understand how we heal. Tyler visits every week. He brings flowers, sunflowers, her favorite. He talks to her about the foundation, about the lives they've saved in her name, about the laws that have changed because of her. And sometimes, when the wind carries the scent of sunflowers and the sun breaks through the clouds, Tyler swears he can feel his daughter there with him. Telling him she's proud. That the work matters. That her death wasn't meaningless. This is Sophie's story. We tell it not to glorify violence. Not to sensationalize tragedy. But because Sophie Bennett deserves to be remembered as more than a name on a list. She was brilliant. She was ambitious. She was trying to understand the human brain and help people heal. And she was murdered by a predator who saw her as nothing more than an experiment. We tell her story so other young women will be more careful. Will trust their instincts. Will verify before they meet strangers alone. Will understand that monsters don't look like monsters. Sometimes they look successful. Educated. Safe. Rest in power, Sophie Bennett. Your light still shines. If you're a college student doing gig work, tutoring, rideshare, delivery, anything, please be careful. Always meet new clients in public first. Share your location with someone you trust. Tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back. Trust your gut. If something feels off, leave. Never accept drinks from clients. And if you're a survivor of assault or attempted assault, please know, it wasn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. Help is available. Share Sophie's story. Keep her memory alive. Until next time.